Friday of the first week of Advent. Today we celebrate the memorial of St. Nicholas, and it's probably good to say a word about him. He was a saint who was the bishop of Smyrna, a church in Asia Minor, and he was famous for his generosity. In fact, he realized that a family was very poor and they couldn't afford the dowry for their daughters, which would mean that they wouldn't get married. He snuck some of the money in by throwing it through the chimney on the roof. And that might very well be the source of the idea that Santa Claus comes down that chimney. Because St. Nicholas in Dutch was called Sinterklaas. And when they did images of him in New Amsterdam, what became New York, they dressed him up as a roly-poly man with wintered clothing and a long white beard. Eventually, Sinterklaas became Santa Claus. And so this idea that our idea of Santa Claus is based on the generosity of a saint. Now the readings today talk about blindness and healing, that God will heal the blindness of those on his holy mountain. He will bring us sight. And then in the gospel, we hear about two blind men who are healed. So our Advent task is to ask ourselves, what is the blindness that afflicts me? What am I not looking at? What part of my heart, my soul, are not enlightened by the grace of God? And this is important because we can rationalize almost anything. And we go along in life being busy. We don't see some of the things that we really need to see. Now, one of the ways to see them is to invite comments from our friends and our neighbors. Ask questions like, what do you think I should work on this Advent? I'm sure they have a list of suggestions, things they see that we can't see ourselves. But it's also a time to be brutally honest with ourselves. Flannery O'Connor says that people resist grace because grace means we have to change, and none of us likes to change. And so the challenge that she gave is the idea of being open to grace, being open to the idea that maybe this Advent we're going to see a part of ourselves that we've hidden from ourselves for sometimes decades. A lot of times our conversion comes in God's time and not our time. Some of my friends who are 70, 80 years old, they ask me, why did it take so long to figure this out? And the response is partly because we resisted it, partly because it wasn't time yet. Now is the time of conversion. And so on this feast of Santa Claus, we ask not that gold be thrown through the chimney of our house, not that we receive special gifts, but we receive most of all insight into what we have to do to be more like Christ. And may we have a blessed Advent.